Hey, I think this is day 213. A little bit confusing because of several factors, but definitely going in the right order because this is March 3rd. So I'm working out this scene here, and now, as I've said before, I realize no one's going to watch this unless and until this becomes a major motion picture, streaming or in theaters, most likely streaming. And maybe I'll make it myself. I don't know how I would, but if I had some money, I would. Profiling CLC. It just so. What's the point of even doing this after 200 and all these days? It's really just as I've said before, also to start something and complete something. I was looking at a Film Courage YouTube video several days ago, and someone made that point of if you start a script, you should finish it. And I am in agreement with that. In fact, I was trying to think when I heard that if I have ever started a script and not finished it. I've had ideas that, once I started fleshing them out, I was like, well, that's not quite a feature or something. But I think, and, since I'm not a household name, although not a lot of writers are, it's obvious that even though I've completed a lot of scripts, I have not had success in selling them. I've made those 3 myself. I've had a wee bit of interest in a couple, but I'm not going to lie and say that maybe I had one sort of option. Well, and I was hired to write that one that got abandoned after about a third of the way through the shoot. And so I think if I look back on all the scripts I wrote, and it's almost more like the ideas I've had. In fact, I was thinking of that while taking a bike ride the other day of, what's next after this. Do I go back and revisit a script that I wrote 10 or 15, 20 years ago, 100 years ago? Or do I come up with a new idea? Because a lot of the stuff that I've written, I still think is commercially viable and good stuff. And I kind of shudder to think what the experience would be to go back and read it. Do I just take the seed of the idea and start over? I have done that a couple times and not finished. There's been scripts I've worked on for 10 years, not solid. I can think of one in particular that changed a number of times and would need to change again, I think, if it were to be a successful script. And the 2 people I wrote it with, well, I did the writing and we conferred between the 3 of us on the story. And it was really kind of their story to start out with. But anyways, we've had some ideas on that, which I think would be interesting and could work. And so I've thought about that. I've thought about, starting from scratch. I've thought about just working harder on marketing the ones that I have finished that I'm happy with, which I think is one thing that most writers, just by their very nature, are not strong at, and that is marketing themselves and their scripts. Because you see Field of Dreams and you go, well, if I write it, someone's going to come and find it, which of course is not true. So I've thought about, the blacklist, certainly competitions. I'm not a big competitions guy. Just doing emailing or cold calling agents and managers. I haven't done that lately, never had a lot of success. I have had a couple scripts read and kind of the standard, oh, well, this is good, but it's not what we're looking for. So not sure. But in the meantime, I say all this because I don't want to necessarily comment on what I'm writing now, because I feel like I'm just working on these scenes endlessly. Poor pitiful me. Poor pitiful you for having to look through this. 9010. So this, again, this is talkity talk, although it's back on page 71. So it's not like this can't happen. I just feel like, so they're sort of getting in this fight now. And I've been through a few iterations of this scene because, of course, all the scenes have to have conflict and drama and high, raising the stakes, good news, bad news, all that kind of stuff, taking clock. But the way this is set up now, and I think the problem is kind of structurally and even geographically, location-wise, what I've had happen here just isn't working. And maybe I'm slowly realizing this. Will I have an epiphany somewhere down the road? Speaking as the present day self, all I can say is maybe. So they're at this, part of the problem, which I've mentioned before, is the idea of this one set of cabins basically being the Eagle Creek escape that Hogan runs. And then we're at this national park or state park or whatever it is, and we've got more cabins. I think that is a problem that I need to address, because this is just yakety yak. 3,200 foot running cutting across the so they never earthed commercial field. So I like my tangents better than I do this kind of thing, where I'm trying to make sense of what I wrote, especially when I know it's not working. It's pretty tough and to go and look at stuff that you've already written, knowing it's not working, or you're pretty sure it's not working, and commenting on it. So again, I'm thinking that if there is someone out there who watches a certain amount of these, he or she will most likely skip over 80% of them. Of course, how will the person know where and if a breakthrough occurs? And who's to say that somewhere along here I haven't stumbled on something magnificent and I'm rewriting myself only to my detriment? Wouldn't that be ironic? And then someone sees this a year or 5 years from now and steals it and makes a movie out of something I've abandoned. That would be a movie in itself. I have been thinking, and this won't make any sense if you're watching this and hearing this, of making all these unlisted at some point. Although that would take a lot of work to go through and unlist them all. Just to pull, instead of like pulling back the curtain, it would be more like drawing the curtain closed so no one can see the script as it gets toward its end until such time that it is out there and people in some screenwriting class want to go back and really get a deep dive into how the script came to be. That would be super interesting, I think. Would you like to see, for instance, The Godfather, or, Apocalypse Now, or pick some great film, 2001: A Space Odyssey? What if those writers had done what I'm doing? Wouldn't that be amazing? I'm breaking new ground. But that would be cool to go back and just see the process, I think, of how it came together. Maybe, maybe not. Looks like my day's over. See ya.